Hello, how are you all doing? Today, we have a deck profile of the Fairy Stun deck that I used to get top 8 to DNYCS New York recently. As I said in my last video, which was the duel video using that deck, it just takes one person to request a deck profile and it'll happen. And it happened. ThePORTAL62 requested the deck profile, so here we go. And we're going to go through it quite quickly and then discuss some things that I may want to change. But yeah, the first like 6 cards I want to discuss are Christia and Vanity's Ruler. These are like the main cards that you want to get out through whatever means necessary. Christia stops both players from special summoning, Vanity's Ruler only the opponent. That's good, because a lot of stuff special summons, you want the opponent to not be able to special summon. If you can then defend your Vanity's Ruler and Christia with March of the Monarchs, that's really good, because then it's really hard for the opponent to actually get over Ruler. They'll first need to destroy Monarchs, and then Ruler or Christia, like with a card effect. That's usually how it's done. Now, I can't special summon from the extra deck, and I did build an actual extra deck. I've never actually summoned anything from it, because you barely ever do that. But I have them anyway, but once again, never do it. You might as well have an extra deck. To summon Christina Vanity's Ruler, 2 main cards, Gel and Duo, and Photon Sanctuary. Photon Sanctuary is the quicker way, because then you could just special summon the 2 tokens and then immediately tribute summon Vanity's Ruler. If you're going by Gel and Duo, you can either summon it in attack position or just set it in defense position, and then next turn, applying Gel and Duo's effect to tribute summon Ruler or Christia. I have 3 Herald of Orange Lights. They're there to negate monster effects. I originally had 2 in the deck, and then I had like 2 duels in a row where Herald was really useful, so then I put in 3. But during the tournament, like, I'm not really sure how I feel about about 3 of these. So I'm thinking of like how to replace them or how much to actually keep from them. I'm not really sure yet. I'm gonna try and find if I can find another way to get like Ruler out. Because Gel and Duo, I guess, pretty sure, was it Kaiser Seahorse can also apply, like, with Gel and Duo, in a certain way that Gel and Duo does, but Gel and Duo can't be destroyed by battle, and that's definitely something I use it for, because you can just set it in defense position, the opponent can attack it wherever they want, it's not going to be destroyed by battle. I have one Honest, because it's a light deck, and pretty much always when I use a light deck I use Honest, but only in one duel, and that was in the quarterfinals. In the top 8 did Honest actually really come into play. Maybe it was like during the round 3 of Swiss. Pretty sure round 4 that I used it once, but otherwise you never really have a point where you want to use it, because Marshmallow's not going to attack, usually. Ruler and Christia are normally not overpowered by any monsters, because the opponent requires special summons to get such a monster out. Gel and Duo will very often just be tribute fodder for Ruler, and otherwise stay face down in defense, because once it's face up and you get any damage, Gel and Duo destroys itself. And Herald, you not often summon it either, so I've also been thinking of actually taking Honest out. But first I'll see what I'll do with Herald. Marshmallow just has a nice defense, just to stop the opponent to get some damage in, so the opponent can't get to your life points. Forbidden Lance, because when Ruler is out, and especially when I don't have March of the Monarchs out, I do want to defend my monsters. So Lance is there to stop them from taking hits from Bottomless Trapple, Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, Dimensional Prison, Compulsory Evacuation Device, and lots of that. Dark Bribe is there for similar reasons. I have Mystical Space Typhoon to get rid of back row. You have to watch out when you're playing against artifacts, which I played like 2 hat decks, I think. So it's dangerous with Mystical Space Typhoon, how you play around with that. Photon Sanctuary, I already went over that. 2 Pot of Reality, just to get some searches in. 3 Upstart Goblin, to thin the deck out, because like I don't like to use a lot of like the triple Upstart and the triple Reckless, but here you just want to draw into Ruler or Christia alongside either Photon Sanctuary or Gel and Duo, because if you don't do that, this deck can't do very much. A lot of other decks like Bujins and Hat have a lot of different plays depending on what cards you draw. But here you really just need to draw the right cards. So Gel and Duo or Sanctuary with Ruler or Christia and preferably March of the Monarchs, then you're good. If you don't, you're kinda in trouble. So Upstart and Reckless are in there just to get there quicker, or at least get a higher chance that you'll draw them later. Compulsory, get rid of a monster, and Dark Bribe, same with Lance, mostly to stop Ruler and Christia from being, like, having them leave the field. In the extra deck, I've never actually used these, but, you know, it could happen. Maybe, like, when I decide what to replace Herald with, I may actually get to use some Synchros, because Herald of Orange Light is still a tuner. I have Catastor, Armades, Heroquizes, Sahemoth, Insectron, Gaia Knight, and then here I have Cowboy, Dweller, Maestro, Excitonite, 10150, Omega, Utopia, and Pearl. Now I should note that I do have a slightly updated version of this deck already, which I'll go over like in just a moment. So in a way, this video will be 2 deck profiles, but it's just 2 minor updates to this deck. We'll get to that in a second. Soul Drain, helpful against Boojins and Hats because they have quite a few things that activate in the graveyard. Also, mostly stuff in the graveyard. Dark Hole, just to get rid of monsters if the opponent often has that. Debunk, Hat and Boojins, don't like this. Prohibition I put in there because I didn't really know what else to put in, so I was just like, okay, Prohibition, because that can really stop anything, really. Wiretap, just if the opponent's playing lots of traps, which especially the first opponent that I was facing that had hats, had a load of traps, so Wiretap was very helpful with that. And for the rest, it could just be useful against, like, well, with defending Ruler and Castilla. I have 3 system downs because I expected like Girgia, Karakuri, but mostly Girgia, to be a thing. But with like the upcoming of hats, because this tournament, the DNYCS New York, just started after YCS Philadelphia, where hats were first a thing. So then a lot of people used hats, and there were like 2 Girgia decks, I think, and I didn't phase either. I didn't phase any machine decks, so these weren't actually used. And then 1 Traptrix Trample Nightmare. Wasn't really sure what else to put in, so I just have this side deck with just a load of cards that you could put in your side deck. I was looking through some of the side decks from the deck list in YCS Philly, and I found that this card was using quite a few, and I was like, oh, I could use it. I tested it, and it worked well, so I'll probably be using it in more decks. Especially in like when using Traptrix, you can search for it. I like it. So now to a slightly updated version of this deck. You won't notice too much difference. I just get rid of the system downs for Deep Dark Trap Hole, because I'm like, yeah, this stops like the artifacts and stuff. And I replaced Utopia and Gemini Pearl with Ragnar Zero and Avian Skyblaster. Now obviously Avian Skyblaster is still OCG, but you know, it'll probably be TCG at some point, you know? And I do find it useful. The tournament was TCG, so I couldn't use Avian Skyblaster. But since I normally make my decks just TCG and OCG together, I'd put this guy in. Yeah, I'll probably maybe take out some prohibitions if I found some other usefulness for the side deck. And I'm thinking about what to do with maybe 1 or 2 of the heralds, take them out, put something else in, like other fairies preferably, because like Castilla can still be special summoned. Now then, Castilla will be unaffected by March of the Monarchs, but it is something I've been keeping an eye on, and I've been sort of basing my plays around. I've never actually gone to summon Castilla with its effect, because usually it's up to 3 fairies in the graveyard. That's just how my duels usually go. There's 3 fairies in the graveyard, and then at that point you'll have Ruler or Castilla on the field. So I never actually got to summon Castilla via its effect. But it is a possibility. You can keep an eye on it. You do still have 16 fairies in the deck, so chances do exist. Herald can send itself and 1 other fairy to the grave to add 2. See what you can do with it. This was the deck I got top 8 with. I'm satisfied with it. Unfortunately, in the top 8 match, I made a mistake both game 1 and game 2. Game 1, I forgot that Bujingi Crane was a thing. I was playing against Bujin. I was just thinking the opponent has Honest, so I was like, I have to play my Honest now. If I would have remembered that Bujingi Crane was a thing, and Bujingi Cranes usually ran in 3, so higher chance of Crane than Honest, then if they would have used Crane, and because they were already asking for damage calculation, so only 1 chain, they had Susanoo, but I had, I believe, Castilla. So the opponent would have used Crane, I would have chained Honest, Christia would have gone from 28 to plus 24 to 52, and then Susanova would have doubled from 24 to 48. 52 would have still beaten 48. And the opponent had Crane, which was shown in the end instead of Honest. I was just thinking about Honest, which made me eventually lose the game because the opponent had a great Crane play left over because I just didn't play Crane when I played Honest. And then in game 2, I made a certain play. I was like, oh yeah, I'll let Christia be destroyed. I'll just use its effect to put it on the deck. Then I'll get it back next turn. I forgot that I was under Reckless Greed for 2 more turns, and by that point the opponent had completely beaten me. So maybe I would have won if it wasn't for those mistakes. But mistakes are part of the game. I lost. I'm still very satisfied with Hop 8. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know what you think of it, and I'm gonna go see you guys later. Okay, bye.